finally, after months of backwards and forwards, I got to sit down and have a chat with Michael from Space Coast Mobile Jiu Jitsu and actually talk to the man, the myth, the legend himself. Michael's a Marine, a Purple Heart recipient, so he's been in the he's been in some real wars and actually been shot, so interesting dude. Also a black belt in Jiu Jitsu. So yeah, I've been wanting to chat to him for ages. We've been back and forth online, so it was sweet to finally get down and just chat one-to-one. And we've actually been getting to do quite a bit of training over the last little while as well. So it's cool, got to pick his brain. Talk to him a little bit about like what inspired him to start like his own mobile dojo, going around and training people in their homes or having people come to him. What was the mindset around that and behind that? And also he has turned into quite a bit of an influencer the last couple of years on social media. So I wanted to pick his brains on what he thought about that, because actually that's how I've actually got to meet him. So yeah, it was a pretty interesting conversation. So yeah, sit back, enjoy. I grabbed a Bud Light on the way across because I've got a funny story. Yeah. Crack this. When we were supposed to go to the snow for our wedding anniversary, honeymoon. And I busted my knee, so we ended up going to Vegas instead. So we flew into LA from Australia and hired a car and then drove out there. And I can't sleep on planes. The guy that I was renting the car off messed me around for ages and ages, and I'm like, eyes are hanging out of my head. I'm like, anyway, I got in the car. And then as soon as we got in the car, drove from LA to Vegas, which is not the biggest drive in the world, but it's enough of a drive. And when you're tired as and you're on the wrong side of the road for Australians. So anyway, we get there and Lexi is destroyed. So she just walks in, and the place that we got, it looked nice on Airbnb. It was a dump. So we've wheeled our suitcases in, and she's just about in tears, sits down and lies on the bed and just goes to sleep. So I'm like, wow, I've really started this marriage off great. So but I'm sitting in this dingy room, and I go out the back, like on the balcony, and it looks like there's like a drug deal going on the street across there. I'm like, oh, great. And I'm like, I'm just going to lock the door and I'm just going to go and grab some beers. So I go across, grab some beers. I drink one, drink another one. I'm like, yeah, cool, happy days. Bud Light, of course. I grabbed the Bud Light because America. And I think I drank like 3 beers, and I like got up to go to the toilet, and I'm like, whoa! I thought Bud Light meant it was light alcohol. It means light carbs.
Yes.
I actually didn't even check what the alcohol content of this one.
5.6, 5.9?
I don't know what it was. I think it was like 7.5% or something.
Oh, it was like a Natty Ice or something.
No.
Oh no, it was a Bud Light.
Bud Light.
Was it a Bud Light Ice?
I don't remember, man, to be honest. It was just like, I drank like 3 beers and I was sloshed.
It's like Four Loko back in the day. They had those in America, and those like were known for just
Four Loko,
turning people upside down. I never got in the Four Loko craze, but yeah, man, thank you.
But yeah,
dude.
Anyway,
cheers, mate.
Thanks for coming on the pod.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, it's been awesome hanging out, getting to like know you and that sort of thing, especially because it's been like 4 months or so that we've been like chatting online.
Yes, sir.
This my whole deal with this podcast, even though it's been a bit up and down, and I'm like trying to get stuff going, but most of your podcasts tend to be, say, blue belts that are just infatuated with jiu-jitsu, and they're like, oh, okay, like who's the biggest names in the sport that I can interview, and they send the messages, and then that's how it goes. Actually, aside from you, of course, I've liked speaking to people that are just starting out, as long as they're not like just a new person just trying it, but they're like that are super enthused and they've been doing it for a year or 2 years or 3 years, and they're just like loving jiu-jitsu and loving. The reason I like to do it, kind of like a reverse jiu-jitsu podcast, is because I think there's too much of like old school jiu-jitsu talk of like, what was jiu-jitsu like for you? Oh, back in then it was like 25 mil mats, and we like did takedowns, and you'd land on the joins and it'd hurt your elbow. Man, it was the toughest thing in the world. You guys don't know how good you've got it. I'm like, sweet. I've just heard that story so many times, and it's been my story too. Like, if you like interview me, I'm going to say the same thing. Some of it, like, yeah. So rather than get into like the whole story, can you give us a bit of a quick rundown on like your backstory? Because I know you're a Purple Heart, you've been a Marine, black belt in Jiu Jitsu. So yeah, just a quick sort of like highlight.
Down and dirty?
Yeah. I'll
Man.
probably question you a fair bit through it.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, Mike Cragholm. I own Space Coast Mobile Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah.
I own Grapple App and the Jiu Jitsu Entrepreneurs Mastermind. I originally started Jiu Jitsu because I was in the Battle of Fallujah. And I got really close to somebody, and we were trading grenades and trading fire inside of a house. And I saw a muzzle come around the corner, and I thought, I'm probably going to have to stab this person. So I put my hand on my K-bar. Sergeant Hannon was right next to me. He was doing the same thing. And I remember in my brain the scene from Saving Private Ryan, no kidding, popped into my head in the middle of a gunfight inside of a house in the Battle of Fallujah.
Right.
And
Not
this
today,
was
Satan.
exactly not today, Satan. And so, and it was a battle of good and evil. And I knew in my heart that I would have won that death match.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make the scales so freaking drastic that anytime somebody in a foreign nation was going to try and impose their will on America or their allies, is that there are thousands, tens of thousands of people like me that went and sought out learning the world's supreme martial art so that I could add it to my profession as a tool, right? Because I was a gunfighter, and we do Marine Corps martial arts program, but it's a very packaged ground fighting system.
These kind of armbars.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's good stuff in there, but a lot of it, we're talking compliance techniques because we have this thing called rules of engagement, right? And escalation of force.
Yep.
And you can't just go straight to freaking, we know this with the police. And I ended up, I walked into, I trained originally in New Century Kempo Karate in California, then went in the Marine Corps after UC Davis, went and trained at Throwdown, now Victory, Jocko's place in San Diego. And then from there, man, it was a whirlwind of, when I was in the Marines, I deployed with all 4 Marine divisions, and people, they don't know that there's 4 of them because they don't count the 4th, which is the reserve unit. The reserve division, 36,000 guys and gals. And so I went over as an active duty advisor, 4th Marine Division, deployed to Africa and stuff like that. I was all over Arkansas, Virginia, Hawaii, just the entire, all over the world. And I eventually got my black belt from...
So just to slow this down, Battle of Fallujah, what year is this?
That was in 2004, November of 2004. Yeah, November, December.
At this point, you've done not much martial arts?
I would say I have a very basic understanding of... my striking was good.
Yeah.
My striking was good. Back then, I had decent striking, but I hadn't had somebody that knew jiu-jitsu put their hands on me. And, and that happened at Victory when it was like some CPA, here I am, some badass Marine, and I started doing no-gi, right? Yeah. And so I thought, okay, but the thing is, you're slick, there's no collars, and Mullah Omar isn't walking down the souk with the market with a rash guard and board shorts, right? He's gonna have something to grab. Yeah. And so some CPA freaking just yoked me up one day, and I was like, dude, what happened? And he's like, you need to train in a gi, man. And I was like, So started training in a gi, fell in love with it, right? Yep. Started taking a ton of privates, Greg McIntyre, Elias Gallegos, all those, Jocko. I got privates from Jocko, like before he got his, before he
That's a name drop, right?
Right? Like that was seriously, because, it's like, that's kind of how it started, dude, and it just kept going and going. Jason Izagiri gave me my brown belt in Hawaii at Gracie Kailua. Absolutely love Jason. He is a soul that I feel is just absolutely precious. And then 6-degree Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Paulo Guilbel in San Clemente, California, ordered me my black belt. And so no competitions, wanted to compete. The 2 times I made like a real effort towards, it just got shotgun blasted out of the sky because I was usually in a command billet and things happen on the weekend. And also, we have training exercises. It just became something that I also saw a lot of people's lives being consumed by a weight cut. And then I saw some people go viral for like the wrong reason. And I was just
being
like,
highlight reeled on the wrong side. The wrong side of the highlight reel.
Not trying to get involved in that game, and it's all good. And that's why I just eventually landed on mobile jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but if you're going to be a competitor, I feel like then, yeah, definitely compete, like train tons, probably quit your job and like completely go down that path. But if you're basically like training to like understand self-defense and the jiu-jitsu is kind of like a hobby, like a sideline to your life, the main reason to compete is to feel the nerves of like actually having somebody wanting to hurt you. You can't have people shooting at you. You actually got shot. So I feel like you got the nerves.
That was very much like, I feel like, okay, I get a pass, Yeah. I think Ariel Helwani or something was questioning Moneyberg's black belt, and he was like, I think he said
that was a hilarious podcast.
He said something to the effect of like, can you even get your black belt without competing? And I was like, wow, that's kind of a crazy thought that Ariel Helwani thought that you couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, what am I listening to?
Yeah, I was like, no. It's like, that actually kind of, in my opinion, reduces the black belt. And some people might have a hard time hearing that, but what I'm saying is that, jiu-jitsu is a martial art. Right.
That's right.
And it's used to kill or maim a human, and and this is a sport, but we've made it into a sport, right? Yeah. So we've taken a martial art, and which is good because obviously we can't go freaking killing each other, just for. But
once that choke's locked up, like I'm deciding not to kill you.
Correct. Yeah. There's decorum, and I think jiu-jitsu aids in the 2 things, is the character development, and then also the one thing that people, the hobbyists, they want community. I'm sorry about that, my man. They want community. They're looking for, right, like especially after COVID, that's why mobile jiu-jitsu was it was so clear that you see all these mobile companies taking off that, right, even mobile IVs, right? Those were huge and stuff like that. So when I came out here retired from the Marines, flew out here to Florida, I trained at a few places. I just didn't want to, I found that I was like the new black belt fighting for my spot in the lineup.
Yeah.
Dude, I've freaking done this for a long time. I'm really interested in, one, I want to pick up my leg lock game, right? You know, and you see me messing around with legs, like throwing freaking little things here and there, goofing it up half the time, right? Because that's just the game, right? But I want to constantly be learning and get to the place where something constantly opens up in my jiu-jitsu that gives me like 1 or 2 years worth of work. When I was a brown belt, back take was I needed to master the back take. Not master, but I felt like that was my ticket to getting into, from purple to brown was the back take. Because Jason really wanted me to make sure that my back take was good. He also thought you have so much pressure that reducing some of that pressure is going to help you with your game. It did, because I ended up dropping 50 pounds, right? So, but yeah, that was tremendous. And I think the third point I forgot, but yeah, man, the mobile aspect of jiu-jitsu was eaten up. People drank it up. I had a private today. And Jim. And by the way, Jim did great today. We even gave him a new nickname. Whimsical Jim.
Whimsical Jim.
Yeah. Jim is known. Jim will tell you, I'll tap, don't worry, and it's like, no, you won't, right? Yeah, you won't, dude. So we're working on him. That like, you know, when you grab somebody for the very first time, and you feel the electricity, that to me is like a little much. Because now your central nervous system becomes involved. Right. Once your central nervous system becomes involved, then you're putting limitations on yourself that you don't want to have during your roll.
Right.
Say you bonk in the middle. I mean, you guys see people freaking bonk in the middle of, you know, giant runs, but dude, bonking in a roll is basically getting taken into deep waters, like Randy Couture talks about, and I think it's either The Fighter's Mind or The Fighter's Heart, Sam Sheridan's book, really, really good, and it basically talks about just breaking the person, right? And so that breaking is just simply like you can physically feel it, right? You get on somebody and you just cook them for so long. I mean, it's happened to me. Jack Pete, one of the black belts, that he used to do that to me all the time. It would just basically be like
break the spirit.
Yeah, you know, and again, going back to how cool jiu-jitsu is because it's honorable to tap. You're not going to die.
Yeah.
And for somebody like myself, who eventually developed kind of like a claustrophobia because of, you know, jiu-jitsu and my post-traumatic stress, because I had bona fide post-traumatic stress, gunfights, you know, and like houses and stuff like that. And then now we're talking about like, you go into triangles, people on top of you, all sorts of things. And I had these fight or flight, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system just freaking at loggerheads all the time. Cortisol and spec just through the roof. And I developed, kind of claustrophobia. I think Echo Charles was the first person to actually really talk about that openly on Jocko podcast.
Yep.
And I wrote him and I said, dude, thank you. I was like, you know, I appreciate you shedding light on that, because there's probably 10,000 dudes out there listening to this that feel like that real bona fide, I might die kind of feeling, you know, and it's a panic.
Yeah.
And it's good to go back to jiu-jitsu. So what do they call that? Immersion therapy, right? And you just keep putting yourself in that position.
100%. So yeah, if you talk us back to like you've left the Marines, you've moved here to Florida, and that's about, what year is that? Like about 2022,
late
22.
Yep, late 22.
So you've kind of got to Florida, you're here, you're like, right, I'm not just going to be another person another warm body on the mats.
Correct.
I should be like doing my own thing. So mobile jiu-jitsu, everybody's doing the mobile thing. Yep. Boom. So 22, so 3 years of mobile jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I started it. It officially started August 7th of 2023, and that's National Purple Heart Day. So it married up very well. For me, that when I saw, it was August 14th, and I knew that I was going to start mobile jiu-jitsu. And when I went to create the LLC online, you have an opportunity to backdate the establishment date by 5 working days.
Right.
5 working days from August 14th was exactly August 7th, which is National Purple Heart Day.
Yeah. I
remember just seeing like that and just being like, okay, that's my go, you know? And I put up a couple, we all have friends over the years that you know would benefit tremendously from jiu-jitsu, but one, they don't want to get hurt. And that's a real concern because some guys may go to a place and they could very well get hurt and they're put off forever, right? Because like, what is that competition? Purple belt, he's been wanting to hit this berimbolo for freaking ever. And you know, next thing you know, your knee's gone, or you get paired up with a white belt, you know, and you're doing takedowns and white on right crime, you know? And so you have that aspect of it, but you also have men driving 20 minutes in the opposite direction of home after work to go tussle sweaty men in pajamas while mom's been with the kids for 12 hours.
Right.
And hey, when I come home, I'm going to be showering and I'm going to be cleaning up and doing, you know.
And heat up the dinner for me too.
Right, exactly. Heat up the dinner. That ain't flying. So I simply just addressed that pain point, right? And I put a couple reels out there. I tagged a few influencer buddies of mine. Dave Perret, the military millionaire, has been absolutely tremendous. I'm so grateful for him and helping me just kind of get some eyeballs. And once the Marine Network found out, it was like everybody, I almost went like that. But they put the word out, and I was getting privates on the regular within several months, and things were good.
So you've been like taking people, well, you've had people with some experience, but a lot of people with like no experience. You had like a fair few kids, and I've had the opportunity to come ride along on a few. So it's been really cool. Normally I get asked this question, so I've been like, I'm just hanging to ask you. The main thing, 2 or 3 things that people when they're new or fairly new start and they have, well, what's the advice that you would say to everybody? The mistake that everybody makes, the advice that you'd be just like, this is what you need to know. Know this. Don't make this mistake, or definitely do this.
I would have to say not being afraid to tell your instructor that you don't feel comfortable. And people all too often, when they go in and they're like, they don't even know how to slap hands and fist bump, let alone pummel. And now we're talking single leg, takedown, counters, single leg X, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't even, they tumble, and then they probably don't tell, but it's a wrist, it's an elbow or something like that from falling. And they don't address it during the class, but it's because they don't know. And there's too many instructors out there. No freaking knock on instructors. I love all of y'all, but some of you could use a lesson in how to train the trainer, or you should receive a train the trainer course, right? There is an art to being an actual instructor, and just chalking a white belt at somebody and saying jump in ain't the answer.
Yeah, one, they don't know how to tie the white belt.
Correct.
And then you shout at them, line up, and they don't know what what lining up in your particular gym actually means. 100%.
So I'd say just being vocal, and but that's hard to do because your ego's involved, fear comes into play, and it's really just one of those things where it contributes to the culture of jiu-jitsu. I think it sounds negative, however, jiu-jitsu is cool because it's tough, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the really neat things that separates us from other martial arts, is because you train. It's not like saying, yeah, I belong to that Hapkido dojo down the street. You know, like, I don't know, you might have rolled from time to like fall, like tumble, you know, but you're not literally going unconscious, or
you're not actually testing it out to see if it would work in a life or death situation.
With strangers.
100%.
Scary tattooed strangers. Woo. That's you know. But yeah, that would be my first advice. And then go back regardless of what happens. Go back, get on the mat again, and you know, that's my philosophy in small business. It's my philosophy to people in jiu-jitsu. And then don't forget, you now have a legion. Actually, it's not a legion. It's probably like 3 dozen mobile senseis across America that are bona fide. They're not nearly as vocal as I am online, but they're out there. And one of the ways that I'm helping get that word out there is through Grapple app. It's an app in the iOS store and Google Play. And it's really good. I'm really proud of it. Cool thing is, like, this is the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, and here's the water. There's all this underneath, giant market, right? And it's a freaking blue ocean. By blue ocean, I mean it's not infested with sharks, blood, chummy waters, all that stuff. It's a place for
ground sharks.
Right?
Yeah. Well, the name of this podcast is Shit Talk Jiu-Jitsu. And the big reason for that is there's, just like you said, and I'm actually impressed that you said that about people just need to actually speak up and be vocal towards their instructors. In jiu-jitsu, there does seem to be this thing that's kind of like you've got your black belt now, just shut the fuck up, and like, you're standing at the front now, like, don't say that about those guys over there, like.
Correct.
And I've had a problem with that since day one, because we're just doing this because it's a sport and it's fun, and it's fun and it's a challenge. We can use it to so many things, but why is there like some things that we can't talk about? Like, people come into the gym and you don't tell them to take their shoes off when they go on the mats. They walk on the mats and you're like crucifying for
Totally.
Like, well, just put it up on the wall first.
Yeah.
Like, make it really clear that people like are on the training away. Like, they don't know if it's their first class. They don't know that they can't just jump up, go to the toilet, come back. They've got to get up and put shoes on when they go.
Yeah.
Or like having, you know, bad BO or fingernails and just general hygiene. Like, it's so obvious once you've been training for 12 months, but on day one or even week one or even probably class 5, it's just not that obvious,
right.
Especially when the main thing that's going through your mind is like, I just need to try and get through this class without getting injured. And yeah, that's a massive thing.
I feel like a big way around that is the instructor taking time to teach their purple belts that once they get that purple, like it's kind of incumbent upon them now to be, you know, a welcoming face when people come in. And then not be afraid to walk over and literally just be like, hi, my name is Michael. Oh my gosh, so glad to have you here. Because your coach sees that and he's thinking, thank you, right?
Yeah.
He's literally thinking, thank you, because the you go to a place, I mean, we've all trained at places where you just don't feel welcome, right? Or like it's just cold, right?
Yeah, and it's accidental.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of the gyms that I like originally went to, and even probably like I'm traveling around the world now and going to heaps and heaps of different gyms. And a lot of the time, like I'll message the gym first and like I'll go in, but still when you walk in through the door, quite a lot of the time, people don't even greet you.
Yeah.
There's some big dude in the corner like taping up his fingers, and then there's somebody else and they're like, you're like, am I going to be fighting for my life in a second? You know what I mean? Like, I've been training for 20 years and I'm like still walk into a gym and I'm like, fuck, you're making me feel nervous.
Right.
So I'm thinking, if a white belt that's on their first, like, or a girl, like a 40-pound girl walks into the gym and they're like, holy shit, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, can I back out slowly? Like,
And we experienced that here, even in the Space Coast. I will say, or excuse me, I want to ask though, how as a culture and growth expert, right, you own Grapple Culture and you have a school community, how, like, your thoughts as a thought leader in that arena, how can somebody, for me, it's the talking, tell them the purple belt, like, or let that guy know, hey, it would really be cool if we had more training partners for you. And part of that means, like, when you see new people, you know, and it's just because they're white belt doesn't mean they're going to be white. Hopefully they'll be here for a year from now, maybe 2. They might be a sweet ass blue belt. It's going to become your best training partner.
Yeah.
So advice to gyms out there that might have kind of that, you know, cold feeling to them.
When you go in, well, I've got like a lot of advice, but basically what you kind of like alluded to just before, and this is something that I kind of started mostly because I feel like I'm not great with names. Okay. So every time people would come into the gym, I'd like make a point of writing out their name and then looking at them and going, oh yeah, Steve, hey, Steve, yeah, Steve. So then as soon as people would come in through the door, I'd be like, hey, Steve, or, you know, and then I'd try to learn the kid's name and then mum's name. So if they came in through, I'd be like, hey, and then I'd know their names. So it became a thing for me I just started doing it as when people walk in through the door, I say hi and greet them by their name. And then then I saw that it immediately made people start feeling more relaxed and have better classes. So then I just kept doing it. And then as people like came and trained with me, they saw that I always greeted everybody. So everybody else always greeted everybody.
It became part of your culture.
So even if I'm back down the back of the mats doing something like that, it wouldn't matter if it was a person walking in for a trial, somebody walking in on a paid trial, or somebody that's been training for a week. They just walk in the door and immediately get greeted. Hey, have you got a gi? Have you been here before? So like, it was great, especially if, say, the day before I'd greeted them and then I was busy the next day, then they'd come in the next day and then somebody else greets them and, hey, I didn't see you because they weren't in yesterday. So then it's something that's it's a self-fulfilling thing.
Yeah.
It feels super weird and cheesy the first few times when you're like, hey, Mary, come into the gym.
Right.
But then after a while, everyone's doing it, and then that's how it goes in the gym, and then it's just normal.
Just
What's up,
setting an
Steve?
example.
Hey, Mary, like, easy. So my advice there is just try to remember their names and then greet people. And then as soon as you see their face, see if you can just greet them with their face as soon as they walk into the gym. Dude. And that just spreads like wildfire across the thing. Yeah.
I was very impressed with Paolo, Sensei Paolo Guiobel. He was always, him and Esteban and all of his instructors, they remembered everybody's name. And I thought that was, it was a touch of class, right? It said, I recognize that one of the very first things people do is forget your name. So, and what's the number one thing number one word people love?
Their name.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose the other thing that a lot of people can do, and this is the whole thing with grapple culture and that I try to like get people working towards, is I think, let's say it's just an open mat and people like come in, there's maybe 30 people on the mat, sweet, like that's a different story. But when it's your club and it's the place where you go to train, I feel like it's important to not just know their name. Like, know their name is a great start. That breaks the ice and it gets people feeling comfortable, gets people through their first classes. But it's very important to understand why people have actually come into the gym in the first place. Like, what's actually made you step on the mats. Like, it's an awkward thing. Like, even if it's the most welcoming gym in the world, you don't know that before you park the car in the parking lot outside and then walk inside. You don't know that. So
right.
that takes some courage. And even if you're a parent and you're taking your child, even as a parent, you're like, oh, sweet. Like, you know, there's a lot that goes into just walking into the gym. I feel like it's very important for the coach after that name to like, what's the little Jimmy training for? What do you actually want, Steve? Like, is it, you know, because people are at different stages in their life.
Totally,
some people
dude.
are in their teens, some people are in their 40s, 50s, like whatever.
Somebody could have had something traumatic just happen to them and they haven't told you yet.
That's right. And they're actually just like, I need to have some physical, some confidence and ability within myself so that this never ever happens again. Yeah. Or some people just like wanting to be competitors. Yeah. And then there's the other, like there's the dad that's thinking about just being a good example to his son, or there's somebody that's heard that it's good for flexibility or weight loss. So there's all of these different things.
They've heard guys like you and I who are like, are you a dad that takes your kid to Jiu Jitsu and just sits on the sidelines? Yeah, you're that guy, huh? And they end up in Jiu Jitsu.
Sits there Bud Light in the stomach.
Dude, but the thing is, they're so easy because all you got to do is just chip away at them. My older brother's that way, you know, for years. And then finally when his son got into Jiu Jitsu and loved it, he trains over at with Kurt Osiander and Lamo Jiu Jitsu in Lafayette, California. And
have you ever trained with Kurt?
I haven't trained with him, but I've met him. Yeah, and we've rapped a few times.
Sounds like a wild dude.
Yeah, he might come and speak on our mastermind. But I think it's getting Kurt to be available when you want him to be available is apparently, you know, a little harder than I think.
Yeah,
people, yeah. You know. Or me, if you want me to be somewhere, all you got to do
I'm
is
going to move heaven and earth.
I'll make it happen because I am an entrepreneur and I am absolutely committed. Like, our purpose is to cure the world of loneliness one armbar at a time. I was very sick for a long time after the Marine Corps, and I ended up becoming very sad. And Jiu Jitsu helped me light that path.
Yeah.
You know, because.
And at this stage, you're already a black belt.
Yeah. I will say though, for my whole jiu-jitsu career, it was a therapeutic outlet because, you know, like the Marines, you can be a jerk if you want to people, and you know, there's no HR department, right? Yeah. Like, so it's kind of, and you know, and we have our own laws, right? Like, Uniform Code of Military Justice, you can go to jail and shit like that. So it was a tough 20 years. Deployed a lot to war 4 times and 2 different theaters. But now that I'm back here, I feel like jiu-jitsu is that, it helps bring everything together. Like, the best way that I can explain it, is my client is the dude that has his financial life in order, intellectual life, family life, professional life, but there's not that one pillar, you know, that fifth thing that like ties it all together. And they are probably a former D1 wrestler or lacrosse player or something like that, you know, and they're kicking butt. They're at a director level, maybe C-suite, something like that. They look down, they got, you know, a little bit of a belly and stuff. They can still get after it, but they're wasting time.
Go to the gym a few times, like,
Right, you know.
what am I doing here?
Right.
This doesn't feel like me.
So they reach out to me, and I provide them that one-on-one outlet. So I even have this, like, it's expensive, but it's like a justified option. And yeah, so like I give opportunity to people just to kind of try and whip my ass. It's really expensive, but you know, that's the way it goes. Because there's a finite amount.
Can you use a gun?
I think I need more insurance for that.
Getting shot once is enough.
Dude, John Wick Jiu Jitsu, right? Like, I mean, that stuff's taken off. I think that'd be so cool. I mean, how neat would that be? Like, just getting a couple thrift store jackets, you know, and like, there's that whole tournament, the John Wick Jiu Jitsu thing, and just like we mentioned to Justin, and he was like, even he, you know, he immediately perked up at that, right? Because that's shit. He just made that really cool reel where he was like taking on these attackers, the knife fighters, and everything like that. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, dude.
That actually brings me to what I wanted to ask you about next. Is well, obviously, this year has been like a year for me where I'm like, all right, so everything in my life up till this year has been very physical, like construction, teaching jiu-jitsu, like working in the jail, that kind of physical, like you go to a place and you make money by teaching a class or a seminar or a private or running the gym, whatever. This year I've decided, okay, I'm going to influence online and coach people one-on-one and business owners one-on-one, that kind of thing. And that's how, like, I've been like learning how to make videos and trying to like talk to the camera and do this kind of stuff though, right?
Yeah.
And well, thanks to Evandro, that he kind of connected us. But I like a lot of your content. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. And so you've been building a following like quite successfully. And I'm like trying to like follow in your footsteps on that. What is something that you kind of feel it's important for, say like a new person in jiu-jitsu? Do you feel like they should actually, I'll just ask that as a standalone question. Let's say I'm like a new person in jiu-jitsu, I'm maybe like a teenager, and I feel like this is probably the direction that I want to go. What advice would you give to me as far as social media is concerned?
Social media? Best advice I would give you, just carte blanche, would be tap early and often. Your joints are way too limber right now, and as a kid, and you're going to be able to tap later than you think, you know, and the damage that you're doing to those joints is not good at that early age. So tap early and often. For the social media, what people miss, they try and talk to the whole world and put content out for everybody.
Right.
I have a very specific persona, right? My individual customer profile, my persona. And when I make content specifically directed at that persona, that figure, I cut right through all the noise and I get rid of all that extra, that outside stuff, and I'm just communicating and I pretend like it's a one-on-one exchange,
So
right?
talk to the individual.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, because that authenticity bleeds through a camera. Like, why do we watch movies? Movies make us cry, you know? So that's why people, when they're like, oh, you know, you can't develop personal relationships online. It's like, dude, the movie industry, right? Like, it's a feelings thing.
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there, being careful about the stuff that you do. I wouldn't go crazy with the politics. I wouldn't go trying to attack people, right? That's something that I'm not interested in. I would much more like to elevate others. And that's a really good key. Elevating others is going to make people, they're gonna like you. They're gonna like you. If you're advertising for them and saying, hey, these are cool people, they'll genuinely like you. Plus, when you paint somebody in a good light online, publicly, when they act like an asshole, you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming, you know? So, but it's just a nice way to keep the peace with a bunch of people. And realize that just because you only have 5 followers right now doesn't mean that you're not gonna have 5,000 in a year, or 2 years, or 5 years. And it doesn't freaking matter, excuse me, I need to take that back. It does matter, because when you hit a very specific following count, it unlocks like places for you to get companies to pay you money,
right?
Which is a whole nother freaking channel that people are like, oh, your followers don't matter. Well, get to 10,000, and then you're gonna have places like the lobby and all these other people, and then you get creator kits and all this stuff, and then you can get paid for doing reels and using products that you use every single day.
Yeah.
And so I would say tag the companies that you freaking like. I love Jocko Fuel. I love Origin, right? These Impact mouth guards, Chill steel pipes. These are all companies that I use that, since I've publicly been like, they're rad, they turn around and go, Michael Cragholm's rad,
Yeah.
And it's just creating a win-win situation for both myself and them. And
if we're, say, talking to like an individual, maybe an 18-year-old, 3-stripe white belt, thinking like, I really want to make a run of this, and I feel like maybe they're studying personal training. They're like, I can fit this into my schedule. This is the direction I want to go. Starting to post content. What do you think? What advice would you say? Hey, do this for style, or do this for you've given the things that you'd like err away from, but what would you say in relation to like personal style and that kind of thing?
I would direct them to your profile, and I would direct them to my profile.
Yeah.
And I would say, watch them, go look at the reels that are doing very well, and mimic them. Just take them, just copy them. Kind of like that DOAC, the Diary of a CEO the other day. And there's no...
Copy what works.
Yeah, there's no shame in that. If I'm saying, go to my page and copy the calls to action that I have, like that's gonna cut right through all the like, oh, what do I do? Do what I've done. And it's kind of like, for me, I've had some people ask me before, oh, do you have a mobile jiu-jitsu playbook? And I said, yes, it's my Instagram and my LinkedIn and my Facebook. This is the playbook. So recognizing that there is a kata to social media, there's a kata to content, because not everything has to be buy my stuff, right? It should be showing them who you are, what you're about, what your values are, right? The culture, norms, values, beliefs, artifacts, right? These are the things that we leave behind.
Well, it's like we basically sell jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But even if there was no social media, even if we didn't make money from it or anything, when it comes down to our own personal fitness and our own personal mindset and the thing that we like to enjoy, well, it's just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So regardless, irregardless, or whatever, however you want to say
Right.
it, we're going to do that anyway. So I feel like with any product, like if you're selling it, it should be because like, even if you weren't selling it, you still want it.
Sure.
It's like...
That's why with Origin...
I'll sell jiu-jitsu because I can't live without jiu-jitsu. And like, I'm only saying it because, hey,
Yep.
I don't know how you'd live your life without jiu-jitsu.
I absolutely... One thing I had to realize is that I'm trying to get these companies' attention. They're under no obligation to, give me their attention. I'm a customer of them that is purchasing their products. I don't need these, they never asked to get to know Michael Cragholm. So it's incumbent upon me to make myself as attractive as possible, so that they're like, oh, this is somebody that we would like to put in our ad. And I was successful in that, and so that opened up a massive door. Know that you're one reel away, right? I have one reel that got me 13,000 followers, and that really opened up the door for so much, because then companies are reaching out to me and offering me money to shave my head, to make a mouthpiece, right? To wear specific clothes. And it's not no, the reason it's life-changing is because it's easy and it's money that you did not expect. It's a line of income, a line of business that you hadn't seen before. And now I'm like, wait a minute, Freebird is gonna pay me hundreds of dollars just to turn the camera on and go like this and shave? And they're like, yes, because I'm the model, I'm the photographer. Everything that would have cost them $3,000.
Yeah.
Now is just 300, right? And so, the social media aspect is absolutely critical because it's free and it's what everybody uses.
Yeah.
And when people have this hang up about getting online, I'm like, you have a choice between poverty or wealth. Which one is it? Okay, wealth. Well, then you have a choice between using social media and not. If it's not, you're not going to be wealthy.
Unless you pay lots and lots of money for other people to do it for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And,
So like for us, like go back to like say 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, there was a little bit of Facebook around,
Yeah.
but it was every once a month or something. Like somebody took a photo at the end of class and that was, I don't know, proof that you were doing Jiu Jitsu, I suppose.
Right.
I don't know, but it wasn't really a thing. I think there was some people like Gary Vee and stuff that they were like, oh, this is the thing. But I think the Jiu Jitsu like nuts like us were just like, we need to do Jiu Jitsu because it's awesome, and rightly so. But the social media has kind of like been a massive part of like the growth of Jiu Jitsu, just for people to find each other. But now it seems to be like going more than that. Like there's younger people are coming up. There's podcasts. There's like the social media, like, you know, like you're saying, brand promotion, that kind of thing.
Totally.
Where do you kind of see it go? Do you have any visions of like where you think it's going to go with that?
Only bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's only getting bigger, and I think the trend. The point I was getting at earlier, thank you for bringing me back, is that you don't necessarily need a massive following, because as long as your engagement is high and the algorithm's going to see, okay, you only have 3,000 followers, but you have freaking 2,500 of those guys that are engaging or watching, or somehow every few reels or something they're seeing it. That's like a nice, that's a pool for them, right? And so they recognize that. And then I guess from there, you can only make it better or worse. And I figure if you're stagnant, you're getting worse. And even today, I saw somebody that was like, yeah, I only took a few days off and then I come back and I'm like, oh shoot, you know, like it was, and because it'll have that effect if you stop. And that's why those, 100-day challenges are so helpful to people, because they genuinely work. It forces you to be consistent, and the algorithm loves consistency. You keep showing up, and you're gonna find doors are gonna open for you out of nowhere. You're gonna make relationships with people like Evandro, who literally just say, hey, Shane, you and my buddy Mike should talk. Boom. And next thing you know, we're freaking here drinking kava in the Space Coast, you know?
Right, right.
So, yeah, I think I kind of answered your question. I hope I
was just kind of pointing it to like towards the future. So like in my head, I see like a lot of people seem to be drifting away from like social interact, like unless it's kind of forced. And this is like what I kind of say to coaches, and I think of the gym as like your third place, because it's like, it was a coffee shop that was near the gym, and he named it the third place. And I was having a coffee with him. I'm like, why'd you call it the third place? And he's like, well, when you're at home, and you go to work, and you kind of like, so you're kind of forced to have this second place that you go to. So home is your first place, and then work is kind of like your second place. You sort of have to do those two things. So, or maybe if you're younger, maybe school.
Right.
But then in your spare time, maybe you go to the beach, or you go to the gym, or you go to the club or whatever. But generally there's somewhere else that's not like a nightclub or whatever, where you spend time with your friends. Sometimes it's like a friend's place where you play video games or whatever, but that turns into like your third place. So making the gym people's third place is so powerful, because that gets them, I feel like everyone's going into this stage of like, online like, provides you all of the things, like the things that you need: connection, communication, learning, feeling, all these different things is provided to you online. But there's still something that you get just from like physical interaction,
totally.
looking somebody in the eyes, actually. And I feel like Jiu Jitsu is great in that it's learning the jiu-jitsu people are kind of starting to adopt to the social media online thing, and now people are connecting more and more over the world.
Yeah.
And it gives people like a healthy way to like wrestle, look at each other, like slap hands, bump knuckles, let's go, let's catch up. And now like traveling all over the world, I'm like, wow, this is something there's still massive tracts of the world that don't even know what jiu-jitsu is. So I'm like, there is so much more connectivity that we can spread to the world. And I feel like you merging jiu-jitsu and like the social media aspect is like, in my mind, is a beautiful thing. So that's why I was kind of like asking your opinion on it to see if.
I mean, just like we talked about, that authenticity bleeds through. Jiu-jitsu is very personal, right? We're physically touching, and it's not like we're doing this, for an hour and a half and then maybe I punch somebody for a split second. Like you're talking, a head and arm is hugging a dude,
Right.
You're hugging the guy and you're there for a while.
Your cheek is on their cheek.
And it might not be the cheek you want too in some positions.
We're not talking about T-Bag Kimura.
Never been there. But, you're sharing the heat, energy, endorphins, or what are they called? Serotonin, oxytocin. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one that it's, I think, the love drug. And going back to community, people go to jiu-jitsu to learn, and they stay for the friendships. They stay for the relationships, because, and they also might stay because somebody freaking bodied them and absolutely insane. And they now have this person in their brain that has katana'd themselves into, now all they can think about is that role. And at night, how are you going to do with that dude that submitted you with the cleanest armbar from back take that you've ever had? And you're like, how did that happen? Sensei was right there, saw the whole thing, It's just like, so that's, it will fucking infect your blood. It's like a bug in your brain. And once it burrows its way in there, it's gonna stay there, and it will emerge at some point in time. That it's like a good book, right? A good book will find you when it's time for that book to find you. Rolly Delgado, one of my old coaches and good buddy of mine, I took like a several month break one time because I needed to, and he was like, life keeps us rolling. And I was just like, huh. So anytime I get into this funk or I get down on myself, I just remind myself, life keeps us rolling. So I don't technically have to be on the mat to be at struggle with something. And if I'm taking the lessons from jiu-jitsu and I'm applying them to that strife in real life, then I'm genuinely learning from jiu-jitsu. So that's Rolly's a good dude. Freaking love that guy.
To me, that's martial arts, and that's the martial arts mindset. Like, you can be like waiting in line at Publix, like, to get your food, and you can be like distracting yourself and looking around or on your phone and stressing out about things, or you can be centered.
Yeah.
You can pull out your phone to send a message and put that back in your pocket, and you can focus on like your surrounds and the people, and hey, I could help this person. And to me, that is like martial arts mindset. And I feel like what your buddy said, life keeps us rolling. Mm-hmm. That embodies it. It's we're like striving to become better people. And I feel like that's what the belt is. It's like this self-defense, better person kind of a thing. Especially like these days, like especially when it comes to no-gi and that sort of thing. A competition purple belt is like so much better than with like 90% of black belts. So like if you're just going to say, I chuck a belt on, and like that means shit, like, but it doesn't really mean shit to when you put in the work and the grit and the growth as a person to get there. It's
absolutely agree, man.
Anyway, we'll wrap this up. But is there anything that you'd like to say about mobile jiu-jitsu, grapple app, or just advice for somebody that's like starting jiu-jitsu and you're like, I wish somebody told that to me.
Yeah, I would encourage people to just reach out to me on Instagram. I live for this. I don't have a W-2, and so I take calls all day.
And what's your Instagram?
Space Coast Mobile Jiu-Jitsu. Very simple.
Boom, I'll drop that below.
Yeah, and the cool part about it is that the doors continue to open. And one day I just realized when I had a friend call and say, how are you going to scale this? Well, I couldn't, so if I was to scale it, that means 10x, 100x, 1000x. To grow it would have been like 2 to 3x. I don't want to do that. I wanted to scale it. And the only way that I could do that was through tech. So then I thought to myself, because you have infinite ones and zeros.
Yeah.
And then, is this like, yeah, that's a,
Oh, she's going out.
yeah, well, the
We'll deal with
smoke
it in a
keeps
second.
coming out here. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. If the alarm goes off, that's my
The official
fault.
end.
Yeah, and I already forgot what I was talking about.
Scaling Space Coast Mobile.
Yes, is Grapple app essentially is my bid at helping the traveling jiu-jitsu enthusiast find quality grappling when they're on the go.
Yep.
Because there's the Google Dick Dance. You go, you put in jiu-jitsu near me, and it's a crapshoot. It's either going to be really good, or you're now going down a tunnel where the website's old, guy barely speaks English, they don't show up for class or something. There's no open mat.
Right.
So I just wanted to get rid of all of that, cut right through the noise, and so I created Grapple app, and it's a search and booking engine. That sounds so boring, and one of the things I'm trying to do is get my messaging right, positioning all these things, and I'm being very clear and open about it.
Yep.
Like saying, hey, because I want to, just like you asked earlier, advice for the younger guys, show your journey. Just show people your journey and be open about, I really messed up today, and I snapped at somebody that I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. Little things like that will get you connection with people, and they'll follow you.
And Grapple app's in the Play Store and App
Google
Store.
Play
Yep.
and iOS.
Yeah, sick.
Thanks,
Yeah,
dude.
cool. Do you have a website that you'd like people
Grappleapp.io. It's GRAPPLAPP.io. No E. I freaking hate E's. And but please go. It's free. Download it. Play with it. Create yourself a mobile sensei profile or like a student profile or something like that.
Yeah.
And please let me know if there's anything that we can do for you, because ultimately I'm going to create a marketplace in there, and I just want it to be like a BJJ warehouse of quality, premium, like think Origin, and think Jocko Fuel kind of level of companies that if they see this and hear it, I freaking love you guys, and I look forward to continuing to rep you. Hopefully with more of a monetary exchange in the future. So. But hey, that's part of this, getting out here and doing this. So to everybody, thank you so much. Shoot me a DM. I'll get back to you, no doubt.
Boom. Well, thanks for that, mate.